question. Who the heck is John P?
That's
John
P.
Hello and welcome to the Grammar Goods Podcast, episode 39.
Today we'll be answering a question from a former commenter. John P. 2011 asked us, is maintaining one's reputation more important than doing what is morally right?
Well, I think the first and most important question to ask is, what is morality and what is being morally right? I mean, in my opinion, I don't even know. Morality, not important.
Not important, okay.
And, hey, what? You have something to say?
So you're
No,
saying...
you can continue. I just not important at all.
I disagree.
Not important at all is kind of like that's a bold stance to take.
So you're saying like a world without morality is perfectly okay?
Yes, I'm saying that is 100% okay.
Okay. So things that are considered morally wrong, like murder, I feel like that would be abundant in a world absent of morality. I mean,
and if it's completely absent, you would think that stuff like that would happen often.
I mean, does
it not happen often?
More often.
It would happen more often because there are plenty of people who they don't do stuff because it's like morally frowned upon, or not even just because of that, but because of their own morals. If nobody has morals, then you'll just basically people would do whatever, like, they would fall on every impulse they had, which would be a lot of bad things.
So do you want to
make your statement?
Take that back?
I mean, not really. I mean, look at let's see, Abigail from The Crucible. She did absolutely nothing morally correct. She blamed whoever she wanted. She did it all, I believe, for the purpose to just destroy people.
She wanted to shack up with
she wanted to shack up with John Proctor, and she wanted to murder his wife. Again. So, I mean, and look, she was successful. She had no...
Was she though?
I mean, yeah, nothing bad ever happened to her in the end.
John Proctor's dead.
I mean, John Proctor did die, but that was his fault.
His wife isn't dead. His wife,
well, she could die.
It's implied that she'll die later.
Isn't the Crucible's whole stance is that you should do the morally right thing? I mean, to not uphold your reputation?
I mean, if John had no morality whatsoever, he wouldn't have died. Nothing bad would have happened to him either. But he decided to confess to shacking up with that.
Wait. Well, you said nothing bad would have happened to him. In a world without morality, there's no such thing as bad or good.
Okay. So then nothing in general would have happened to him if he just didn't say anything.
Okay.
That's actually a stance I hadn't thought about.
I mean, me personally answering the question.
Hold on, but he didn't want his wife to die. His wife, if he didn't say anything, his wife would have died. She was pregnant, so like there was until a child was born, like there was.
Then there's still a chance
she was in captivity, but once the child was born, she would have been executed anyways.
But if he didn't have to worry about morals, then he wouldn't have to worry about hanging out with Abigail.
Yeah.
The whole thing wouldn't have started.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing kind of happened because he was ignoring his morals. The affair with Abigail?
Yeah, and then
if he kept on ignoring it, then Abigail would have no reason to be jealous, and she would have no reason to try to kill him.
Therefore, no one would have died.
But it was Elizabeth Proctor who kicked her out.
Yeah, but she could have totally kept
kept contact.
Kept contact with John if they had no morals.
Okay, that's a good point.
And I mean, if there was no morals, who knows if this story would have ever happened to begin with?
Well, I think
that is what we were saying.
I think you can, if there were no morals, there probably wouldn't be literature because people would be too busy killing and doing other unspeakable acts.
Yeah, we're talking about a barbarian society here. Like,
I mean, morals are a construct, so I'm just saying there's no set morals. If there's no set morals in society, like people could still have their own beliefs, but it just wouldn't be 100% set in stone as morally correct.
Well, I mean,
that's how it is.
People kind of argue about that today. There are plenty of people who argue that they can do that as long as something is against the law. They should be allowed to do whatever, as long as it doesn't break any laws.
What's wrong with that?
Well, in a world without morals, in a world without objective morality, nothing, because everything would be subjective.
Yeah.
But if you believe in objective morality, things that are like good and things can be good or evil entirely independent of whether or not people say that, then yes, there would still be things wrong with it because it would objectively be good or evil.
Okay. All right, we're going to be discussing the Crucible's stance on our prompt of the day, and we're going to be discussing Reverend Hale.
Reverend Hale, you mean Reverend Paris?
No, I meant Reverend Hale.
Okay.
No, he meant Hale.
He meant
Okay.
him. And
I forgot they were both Reverend.
Elizabeth Proctor. All right, so we can see from Reverend Hale that he had a character arc. You know, he started off, you know, he
right?
Low key,
No, he came in Act 1.
yeah,
he came in Act 1.
pretty
From,
evil.
it was like from a nearby town.
He's not really
I don't think he was evil.
Not
I think he
evil.
really believed that he like expelled a witch from his town,
I mean,
and that's what gave him the authority to go into other towns because everybody believed in him.
And I feel like, judging by his later actions in Act 3, I feel like it's fair to assume that the one in his town didn't go nearly off the rails
Yeah.
as the one in Salem.
well, I would assume that that's probably because it wasn't a group of children, and it was probably a more older person, like at least
I mean,
adult or
Well,
older.
it wasn't being like
It's hard to say why it didn't do
Yeah.
that, but
Or, well, I guess the one in Salem is a group of people. He said to
Well,
him,
the-
it's called like.
well, like the
right?
girls like kept
yeah.
like they kept it going.
Yeah, and that's in that town. It could have just been like one crazy person.
Yeah,
One-
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's harder to expel a group than it is to
Yeah.
expel like a singular person.
It was probably just one crazy person that all the town knew was crazy, and she like admitted to being a witch, or he or she like admitted to doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but yeah, obviously, like we said in Act 3, he undergoes a character arc where instead of choosing to uphold his reputation as Reverend, who has a reputation of expelling witches, he did what was morally right and like kind of abandoned the witch hunt.
I mean, yeah. Another character that was pretty similar, doing the what would be said morally right thing, would be Goody Proctor. Instead of protecting her and her husband's reputation, she tries to. No.
Well, it's kind of the opposite as Hale. She
Yeah,
kind of
she-
flips.
Because she doesn't want to expose her husband. Right. So John Proctor, he admits to
Having an affair.
having an affair with Elizabeth.
No, Abigail. He
That's
has an affair
right.
with
Yeah,
Yeah,
with Abigail.
on
On-
Elizabeth
yeah.
with
With
Abigail. And you know the court or the judge, Danforth, he wants proof, so he. And John Proctor says his wife knew about his affair, and that's why she kicked out Abigail.
Yeah.
So he wants the proof, so he asks her, and then she lies for him. She doesn't want to, ruin his reputation.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, she was more trying to do the morally right thing, try to get her husband back on track away from Abigail, but then eventually she realizes it's better to protect their reputation since they're already both in trouble.
Well, I would argue.
I don't think it's like a realization she comes to. I think it's just that she's like willing to do what is like the morally right thing, but like up to a point.
Yeah.
If she loves her husband, she doesn't want to tarnish his reputation. So
Well, and
So she lies
during
for
this
him.
time, that would also tarnish her reputation. Like back during.
Yeah, they would have both been like shunned.
Yeah.
I don't know if like in Salem, I don't think it would affect her reputation as much. I mean, like if a woman had an affair, it does affect the man's reputation because he's seen as less of a man, but it doesn't really have the same
I would think
effect on
I
a
think
woman.
a woman would 100% be judged if her husband had an affair.
17.
I feel like they were just a lot more judgmental back then.
Yeah, they're a lot more judgmental. But I don't think
And like,
it falls on her as much. Now it might with Elizabeth because like at the end of Act 4, she says something about how like she she's kind of like saying to like her husband that it's kind of like her fault because like she was like cold and she like wasn't like being a good wife. She was like I drove you to this because I wasn't being a good wife. but like that's like the extent to which a woman might be blamed. Is that like it's her fault that he cheated because she wasn't like being a good wife. But this is slightly off topic. So to return it back to the topic, I think Elizabeth's character is like she's willing to do, or she wants to do what is right, but she also like wants to protect her husband because she loves him, and so in the end she chooses to protect his reputation over doing what would be the right thing, telling the truth.
Anyway, you know, one thing that stuck out to me about Reverend Hale is like how much power he had to like make the witch hunt continue. Like if the power he had was in somebody else's hands that didn't eventually go back and think on their actions, like the witch hunt could have lasted so much longer. I mean, it's inferred that they kept on going at the end, right? A little bit.
Not really, because Abigail leaves.
Well, yeah.
Abigail leaves, and she's like the main person keeping it going is Abigail, and she runs away or something, and like it literally ends with like, oh yeah, she like became a prostitute in Boston, or something like that. So I mean, she was the one who's like keeping it going. I don't think Reverend Hale like to keep it going. He didn't actually have that much. He was called in because they wanted to know if there were witches. He's like, yeah, I think you have witches, because like the girls were like feeding him like all like the signs of witchcraft. So like, oh yeah, there's witches here. But then like especially once the court got there, which was pretty much like the beginning of Act 2, there's a court. So once that happened, like it was kind of out of his hands because it was being pushed forward by Abigail and the other girls. And even in Act 2, you see as he has doubts about what's going on. So in Act 2, it starts with the Proctors, and then he goes to their house like at night. He's like talking to them, and he's like, he's having some doubts about like what's going on because he was like, this person, like this woman, she has a good reputation. Like I don't understand. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So he's clearly having some doubts in Act 2, and Act 3. At the end of Act 3, he goes like, I quit this court. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
That's what I'm
condemn
saying.
this court.
If he never like looked back on on what was going on, like had a realization, then he could have done this all over the place. Like every town's gonna have the local kook,
Yeah, I mean.
And he could have just been a lot bigger than he was, but he looked back on his actions, and he realized this just is not real. This isn't true.
I'm not sure if he looked back and realized that. I think it was more so the fact that I think he felt really strongly that Proctor wasn't one of like the witches and like devil like worshippers or whatever they were accusing him of. I feel like that was kind of where he realized like that things had gotten out of hand, and like the whole like once he found out about the affair stuff, he like knew that Abigail would rat out Proctor even if Proctor wasn't a witch. So I feel like I'm not really sure if he made that decision based on looking back at his past actions, or if it was just that he knew that Abigail was lying about this and he wasn't going to keep on allowing her to lie about other stuff.
So do you think like he still believed in witches after that? He just didn't think that they specifically were?
I mean, it says in the book that like witches were like Catholic doctrine, or was it Catholic or was it no, it was Puritan. Puritan doctrine. So it was like
Are you almost done, Dad?
so it's like he kind of has to believe in it, or else he like isn't really a Puritan, which back during then wasn't really easy to do.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Luke?
That last bit, whether or not he believes in them at the end. I don't think he ever like didn't believe in the existence of witchcraft. I think it was just a thing of, like I said, like the girls they fed him, and he kind of made it easy because he was like, did like this happen? Did you see this thing happen? Like if this happened, that means there's a witch. And they were like, oh yeah, we saw that.
Yeah.
So like they like just told him basically everything he needed to hear to think there were witches there. But I think at the end he has doubts about how effective his process is. You know.
You think he doubted his process? He didn't doubt the existence of witches?
I mean, at the end he might, but I mean it's hard to say because we don't really get, like, the most we get from him is like he's like saying like it's like he said like Proctor, like we all know that what's going on here is like, you know, it's not real, like, so it would be better for you to lie, like sign a fake confession than to die for like all this. So I think his Puritan morals, he's kind of questioning them because like he's saying it's better to lie on an official document, like, than to like die uphold, like, you know, maintaining that you're innocent. So I can't really say.
Quentin, what's your opinion? Do you think Reverend Hale, he wanted to do the right thing, the good moral thing, or do you think he thought his reputation was more important?
I don't know. I think at the end, especially when you see the fight between, not really fight, but argument between Danforth, Hale, and Proctor, you can see that Hale is trying to basically, I think he's trying to side with Proctor a little bit, saying that it needs to be stopped, and Danforth said it just can't. So I think he's in the end trying to do the right thing, and he doesn't really care about his reputation that much. He just wants it to stop.
Right, I agree with that because, I mean, he has his reputation of being, you know, the guy that can find the witch in your town. You know, he expelled a witch from his own town. He fully has the ability to uphold that if he wanted to, but he chooses not to.
Honestly, I think I would argue that there wasn't really a point. Like maybe at the very beginning, I would argue that there maybe wasn't a point that where he was doing everything to protect his own reputation. Like his reputation may have empowered, like, you know, maybe like empowered him to believe certain things, but I think from the beginning, like he was always doing what he believed to be like a morally right thing.
Right.
And like I said, the fact that he had that reputation might have like boosted his confidence, and like maybe he didn't question things as much as he should have. But I would argue that he was never really doing things to protect his own reputation.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we should cover Elizabeth Proctor a little bit more. I feel like we kind of just mentioned her. So I kind of, in the same way that we said earlier that Hale kind of like was in the middle at the start, and then towards the end like stuck to upholding like his moral beliefs. I think is really similar in that Elizabeth Proctor was like known for being always upholding her beliefs, like Proctor himself said, like she never lies.
Yeah.
But then towards the end, because there was so much stress being put on her, and like the court was like accusing her of witchcraft and trying to have her executed, she ended up leaning towards more trying to uphold her own reputation, her and her husband's reputation.
Right. I mean, when you're under life or death situation, I can understand why she cracked.
Our next segment is about McCarthyism, and obviously our question: is it more important to protect your reputation or do what's morally right? So I have to run to the bathroom real quick. What I want you guys to do, think about what you want to say, and I'll be right back, and then we can start our discussion.
All right, McCarthyism. What do you guys know about McCarthyism?
I know it had something to do with like the second Red Scare or whatever in like the 50s, but that's about the basis of my knowledge.
Evan?
Right, that's mostly what I know about it. I don't really know much about McCarthyism as it pertains to the topic of the episode, and so I kind of just wish we had someone who knew more about McCarthyism.
Yeah, that.
Are you kidding me with that like no morality stuff? Like that's crazy.
What's so crazy about it? I think a world could function perfectly fine without morality.
You have absolutely no sources to say that. There's no reason for you to believe that a world without morality would work out in any way.
I mean, why not? I mean, there's no real morality in the Crucible. I haven't seen a whole lot of like decent acting people.
Well, what proof do you have that a world without morality would be any good?
Because I said so.
That's actually some pretty solid evidence.
Joseph McCarthy.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey.
What are you doing here?
How are you gentlemen doing?
How
are you here? You died.
Let's not get into that.
Okay.
What is your name, sir?
Quentin Kazmarek.
Your name, sir?
Kurt Schaefer?
What is your name, sir?
Luke Arts.
Is that his name, gentlemen?
No.
What is his name?
Evan Depew.
Slander. That's slander.
The name Evan. Is that Evan M. Depew?
It is.
It is.
You are on my
It's
list, sir.
Luke Arts.
You are the communist.
I am not.
You're the communist among us.
I'm not.
Who is it? Who is this Luke Arts you keep talking
I have no clue.
He's currently using
You have no clue. Wait, he's lying to me. He's lying to you.
I've not lied to you. I didn't know that was his name. I don't even know the guy.
You were on a podcast with him.
Yeah, he's a guest. I don't know.
Podcast?
Right. Oh.
Radio
Oh,
broadcast.
Oh, okay.
It's yeah.
Okay. Well, Carter here tells me you needed some expertise on something. What is it?
Right. So, we're trying to decide whether or not morality should be valued above reputation.
Well, that's a very good question. Sorry, I can't trust either of you. Do you?
Sorry, sir.
Well, is morality more important than upholding reputation? I think reputation is one of the most important things we all have. I mean, it connects us to people. People with a bad reputation, they're shunned. And usually rightfully so. I mean, communists. I hate communists.
I'm right there with you, sir.
The communists are not moral. As I said in my speech a few nights ago, the Secretary of State proclaimed his loyalty to a man guilty of what has always been considered the most abominable of crimes, being a traitor to the people who gave him a position of great trust. And the reason the tide is turned away from our favor, from 9-1 in our favor to 8-5 against us, is due to the lack of moral uprising on the part of 140 million Americans. However, it only takes a spark, and this spark has been supplied when a pompous diplomat in striped pants with a phony British accent proclaimed to the American people that Christ on the Mount endorsed communism, high treason, and a betrayal of sacred trust. The blasphemy was so great that it awakened the dormant indignation of the American people. What we need is for the American people to remember their morals and to take a stand against communism by rooting them out of the State Department.
What's your opinion on, like, which one is better? I feel like you still haven't really taken a side.
It is more important to stick to your morals than to sacrifice them for the sake of your reputation.
That is entirely against your doctrines.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. What do you mean by that?
You
McCarthyism.
openly withheld information about where you got your sources for communism and people being communists.
I listed right here.
Yes, where did you get those names from? Is
A very trusted source.
who is your
List is
source?
blank.
Yeah.
It's a very.
This list, there's nothing on
It's
there.
very.
There's nothing
And-
on that list.
And you, without any evidence, convicted people of being communists in
They were
your
communist.
department.
They were definitely communist.
But you had no
Even Arthur
evidence.
Miller?
Yeah, even Arthur Miller, who
He's
openly
definitely communist.
he openly rejected communism in his play, The Crucible. He said,
He rejected it. He rejected it. He was alright.
How do we know he wasn't just doing that to save face?
His rejection of communism. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
His rejection of communism is not sincere. He
Well,
was a
but-
communist.
He was just applying democratic means to the conversation. He was criticizing your stance.
Communism
and
has no
because
place
of
in
that-
democracy. He is a communist.
I don't think persecuting people based on their beliefs has a place in democracy either.
Communism has no.
Do you guys want to talk about the?
hold on, I have to go return something really quick. I'll be back.
Yeah, sorry, he owes a few people some videotapes.
Oh,
But I mean, I'm not a communist. Okay, I just think that your doctrine isn't necessarily the best way.
my doctrine. I found communists. I exposed communists.
I know I'm not a communist, and you're exposing me.
Yeah.
I'm not a
You know,
communist.
in the
Names
history
on
books,
it.
you,
Oh, in the invisible ink that only you can see.
Yes, I told you. My mother always said I have a gift. I have very good eyesight.
You sure she didn't just say you were special or something?
Are you implying I should be in a lunatic asylum?
A little bit.
How dare you, sir? I am a United States senator.
Well, not anymore. I mean,
What do you mean now? What year is it?
it's 2020.
Hey, Joe! Dude, what took you so long?
Yeah, it took you long enough.
Gosh.
Well, I was like 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes.
Five
No, it's
minutes.
not 5 minutes.
We had an entire conversation with a dead man.
We doing witchcraft.
This guy somehow brought McCarthy back from the dead. I still don't know how he did it.
don't ask
He
me.
didn't tell us.
Gosh,
Don't
what
ask
are you, a
me.
magician? You're not going to tell us your deepest secrets?
Don't ask. Okay.
Don't ask me. So,
So
We
when
discussed
when I left,
McCarthy.
we were about to have.
we already had the
Yeah,
discussion about
we've
McCarthyism.
kind of moved on. I mean, literally killed him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Let's,
So
Uh,
now we're going to be
we're
looking
on
at
our-
modern examples.
modern examples.
so,
Okay, so I figure a good modern example was cancel culture, and
yeah, like Colin Kaepernick for being canceled for kneeling during the national anthem, and then eventually being kicked out of the NFL.
Well-
never being able to play.
he wasn't kicked out, but no team would take him,
Yeah.
so they didn't want him to face backlash.
See, that's like where it gets controversial. Like Quentin's point, like he upheld his belief, but he still, in the end, he was worse off for it.
Yeah,
Well, but
like
is the question, will you end up better? Because in my opinion, when I read the question, I don't think, oh, does it turn out better for you if you chase reputation over morality? I think what's better, what's morally correct.
I think he was
what's-
doing the morally correct thing.
Question was, what's more important?
Right.
Now, some of that does depend on on a specific person. So now, yeah, the question did not ask like what has the better outcome for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really. I mean, we already kind of know. Like the Crucible is an example of that, which is an allegory of McCarthyism. Colin Kaepernick is an example. He stuck with his belief. If you don't know, Colin Kaepernick, NFL player, during the national anthem, he knelt in protest to like police brutality. Fun fact: the reason he knelt was because a Green Beret had like said kneeling would be the best way to like protest it and be respectful to the national anthem. So, and like we said, what happened to him? No team would take him after that. after all the backlash he received from that, and so he eventually reached a private settlement with the NFL administration committee, so that way they didn't have to go to court. Okay, got that out of the way. Got in case anyone did not know. So we can go back to the question. So yeah, it's the question wasn't what is better for you. I think most examples show that it isn't if you choose to do what's morally right, it will be at the sacrifice of your reputation. And I don't know, that kind of just shows
If you don't uphold your reputation, then or if you don't uphold your moral beliefs, a lot of times you'll be better off for it. But it could ruin your reputation at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's fair to say that always doing what will uphold your reputation isn't going to be the best option for you. But most of the time, when people face backlash for something, it's for maybe because they're what they believe to be morally right is in opposition to what maybe the general culture thinks is right, and so they get canceled for it. So, I mean, anything you want to add? I think
that was a pretty good example. I don't really have a whole lot to add on to that.
If no one has anything else to add,
but the whole notion of cancel culture, that challenges everything that we believe in America, free speech, I don't know.
I mean,
free
speech too.
I will disagree with that because there are not just traditionally, but there in law are limits to free speech. One good example,
right?
Well, one good example of that is it's called fighting words. If you say something to if saying something to someone will make them angry, angry enough to commit attacking or something like that. If you know that that's not protected speech, hate speech for example. If you say something that can be considered fighting words, something that will cause a fight, that's not protected. So that's not free speech.
Yeah, that's fair enough, but also at the same time, it's if you're not saying anything objectively wrong, it's just
not just saying doing as well.
The majority is against you.
Well, but who's to decide what's objectively wrong? I mean, the majority of opinions and topics can't really be proved objectively, so we would just have a bunch of people going around saying stuff that just hurt other people, but can't really necessarily be proven absolutely wrong.
See, that's where we get into a gray area a little bit.
That's where we get into we'd be better off without morality over
here. Yeah. That's what I was saying. Gray area.
Okay. But that all depends on your beliefs on whether or not objective morality exists. We already established this guy does not believe in objective morality.
Nope.
Yeah.
Which is why we had killed.
Yeah.
I don't kind of reached the ending point of this.
I mean, yeah. But instead of just leaving it with our opinions, we have some opinions from a few of our peers.
Okay, we are here with Anthony Stevens.
What's up?
Anthony, our question for you today is it more important to protect your reputation or to do what is morally right?
I believe it's more important to do what is morally right.
Okay, can you give us some examples where you might have to make that decision, and why is it important that you choose to do what's morally right?
Well, morality is the basis of which all order is founded, like the order of harmony, so that, so what I'm trying to say is that choosing morality over reputation benefits society as a whole, maybe even at the expense of one person, which would be choosing reputation over morality.
Thank you for your answer, Anthony. Thank you for your answer.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, we are here today with Ruben Torres, and we have a question for Ruben. Our question for Ruben is it more important to protect your reputation or to do what is morally right in a high school setting? What is more important for a high schooler, someone our age?
For always the right answer is do the morally correct thing. But of course, people will always do the correct thing if it doesn't affect their public perception. Well, I think a lot of people will not do the right thing or will doubt to do the right thing when they are um, publicly putting themselves out there. And I think a lot of high schoolers value more their reputation than their moral values most of the time.
So, what is more important for you? What would you say?
I would say that how much your self integrity to do the right thing, depending how people will perceive you, is always more important.
So, it depends what's more important to you as an individual.
Yes.
Okay, we are good. Okay, we are here with Kai. Kai, we have a question for you. Here's our question: is it more important to do what is morally right or to protect your reputation? It's a high school setting for high schoolers. What is more important for a high school student to do?
Probably it's morally right. It doesn't matter what your reputation is. Like if something is off, then you should probably do the right thing to protect how the person is instead of your own reputation, no matter what.
Can you say you always do that?
Um,
Or
not not all the time would I say I would do that, but in most circumstances, I would say I do that. Yeah,
can you give us an example?
I cannot. I forgot what the question was, to be honest. Right now.
Okay. Well, could you just give us an example of a situation where it is better to do the morally right thing?
Like, I would probably
It's better if it's a real life example, but if you can't think of anything, that's fine.
I would probably have to say like if someone could be like getting bullied and then because if you fight obviously in a school setting you're going to get suspended for fighting,
Right.
and so if you have a good reputation of good all A student, no fighting, no nothing, but someone's getting bullied and then you have to step in and like help fight if things are getting that bad, then that would be a case where you just throw your reputation out of the way and do what's morally right.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
2, 1, go. Okay, we are here with
Miles.
Miles, here we have a question for you. The question: is it more important to protect your own reputation or to do what is morally right in the high school setting?
Probably to protect your own reputation. You
Oh,
feel me? Because
Okay. Let's.
I
Why?
think you should worry about yourself more than others. You feel me?
Okay. Let's have an example.
I don't have an example.
Okay, what if someone is being, we'll go with what Kai said. What if someone's being bullied and they're just like someone's like beating the crap out of them? Is it? But you have the reputation. You don't get in fights. You're good. You keep to yourself. Do you step in?
No, I'm not stepping in. I'm just letting it be. That's not my problem.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Miles.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're here with Garrett, and here's our question for you, Garrett. Is it more important to do what is morally right or to protect your own reputation in the high school setting?
In the high school setting?
Yes, for like a high schooler.
Well, what's morally right?
Okay.
I think especially when you consider the fact that ultimately what you do, what your reputation is in high school has little to no bearing on the rest of your life after you leave. I mean, you can mess up really bad even in freshman year and then in sophomore year fix it. Ultimately, what's going to matter and what people are going to remember you for, especially in your high school years, is did you do what was right? And that's something where also that's going to be a lot more valuable in the long term as well. So I think that ultimately being morally ethical and morally right is far more important than making sure you have a reputation that you'd consider to be okay.
Thank you, Garrett. Should we go? No, I'll just. Okay, the question is it more important to protect your own reputation or to do what is morally right in the high school setting, like for a high schooler? You start with.
Do what's right.
Okay.
Do what's right. Do what's right.
Do what's right.
Can any of you say you would always do that? Like you would always do it as right, or would you protect your own reputation?
Protect. Protect. Protect.
Protect.
Okay. Why is that?
I don't know. It's kind of the common thing to do.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have a bad reputation.
Got it.
Kind of what they said.
Okay.
Yeah, same with Wyatt.
Okay. Is there anything that's good? Okay. So our question is, in the high school setting, Is it more important to protect one's reputation or to do what is morally right?
Definitely what's morally right.
Okay. If you would like to like give an example of like why to try and illustrate your point.
Well, character goes a long ways. I mean, you can, as a student, takes a long time to build your character. Only takes a minute or so to ruin a reputation. And I think you have to make decisions on the benefit for everyone instead of just yourself. Think beyond yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Spray. Thank you. Great answer.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so we have our question is it more important in the high school setting to protect your own reputation or to do what is morally right?
Do what's morally right.
Okay. And can you give an example to illustrate why?
You just ambushed me in the hall. I don't know if I can come up with something this quick.
Almost all of our interviews have been on the spot. I think we gave one person a heads up beforehand.
Oh, did they answer?
Oh yeah, but actually they didn't even get like a good heads up because the person who told them didn't. So
I don't know. I can't come up with something right now, but I can tell you that doing something morally right is much more important.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.